This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Good afternoon. Welcome into Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Grace Remington alongside Will Hill, ready to talk some live betting with you for the next 3 hours right here on VSiN. Thank you for tuning in, whether you are watching or listening. Let's have a day. But before we get into the sports, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. If you are spending your Mother's Day watching a live betting show, all moms are cool, but you are double cool. And if you are not a mother watching, you have a mother. If you haven't called her yet, go do that. Anyways, we got a NBA game going on right now. Thunder and the Nuggets. Less than 2 minutes left in the first quarter here, and OKC is up 14-7. A live 7.5 point favorite. This live total down to 208.5 after closing at 228. Will, what are your early thoughts on this game so far?
Brickfest. Brickfest is the word that comes to mind. I mean, OKC is just missing open three after open three. They finally hit one a few moments ago to go from 0 of 9 to now 1 of 10. But look, up 14-7. You got to feel pretty good here if you're OKC. A fast start. I think you can make probably a pretty good case. The winner of this game wins the series. If OKC is 2-2 with 5 at home and 7 at home, they're the favorite to begin with. They're probably in good shape. And as good as OKC is, if Denver can be up 3-1 with Jokic, you figure they could probably get 1 out of the next 3, even though only one of those would be at home. So big game here for, obviously not just this series, but who comes out of the West in general. But really poor shooting in the outsets here as Denver stuck on 7 points with a couple minutes left in the first quarter. So, anyone doing the same game parlays with overs, points, assists, rebounds, all that stuff. I guess rebounds are okay, but it's you need points, you need assists to hit those, and you need shots to fall, which has not been the case. One thing to keep an eye on here going forward, he doesn't have an assist yet, but I played SGA over 7.5 assists. He doesn't have one, like I said, so he's now at 6.5. He had 7 last game, so you probably think, all right, 7.5, that's a fair number. He had 24 potential assists, so they just were not making shots off of his passes in Game 3 on Friday night. As it appears now, nobody's making shots off of his passes now, but that's one where I don't know that was priced properly. I think people are just looking at, the books are just looking at the actual assists from the previous game and not looking at the potential assists and figuring at some point the shots, the ball is going to go through the hoop here. So SGA assists, if you have nothing in pocket and you're looking at some of the sweat, I do think the assists are coming here for SGA just based on the opportunities. How about you? Anything you've got your eye on in this game?
Not for me. I actually did look at the SGA over 7.5 assists. He had averaged 20.7 potential assists in this series, which is crazy high. So none yet, but I like your thought on, backing. You can still, you could probably get a much better price on it now. Yeah. I always look at these early bets like a first quarter or a first half. So OKC is one of the best teams in the NBA in first quarter and first half scoring margin on the road. They actually lead the NBA in that. But they obviously just covered the first quarter minus 1.5. Going into this one, they were -3 on the first half. Now it's minus 4.5. But with such a low-scoring game, points coming at a premium at this point, that's not something I would live bet. I did like the under coming into this. I thought it was kind of crazy. It was bet up 6 points from the opening number of 222.5. But then it looked like we had some buyback on that larger number, and I kind of went that way too. But yeah, you were right, Brickfest. OKC 1 for 10 from 3, the Nuggets 0 for 11, and they were one of the better 3-point shooting teams during the regular season. We have 8 total field goals made. So good day for unders bettors, but we'll see what happens there. I do want to get our baseball bets in because we have 4 games where first pitch is about to be thrown in a couple of minutes here. And I'll just, let's start with Yankees Athletics because that ended up being a wild game yesterday. Best hitting weather of the day. Looks like it's not going to be as hot today, so the ball won't be traveling as far, but it's still a great hitting ballpark and hitting environment. And that total has been bet up to 11 runs now. But did you have anything in this game?
tempted to pull the trigger on Athletics plus a half a run in the first 5. I think the Yankees will hit Severino, the former Yankee. His numbers haven't been great. They haven't been great at home. Yarbo's going for the Yankees, so it's really he's more of a fringe starter reliever, kind of a hybrid. So I don't know how much depth you're getting out of him, how many innings you're getting out of him, and then you get into the underbelly of the Yankees bullpen. Keep in mind, if you're betting the full game here, Mason Miller, we were on the air for this yesterday, Mason Miller, the outstanding closer for the A's, probably the best closer in baseball, did get 5 outs, so I can't imagine he's going to be pitching today. So that hurts at the end of a game if it's A's are up a run or two, or if it's a tied game. I don't think we're going to see Mason Miller regardless today. But I think this is an even enough matchup with the pitching concerns here for the Yankees, where I think I'm okay taking the half a run minus $1.30 here for the A's. What are you looking at in this game? Are you going back to your A's after they cashed for you yesterday?
You know what? I agree with you, and that was a fun one to follow. With the 2 starting pitchers here, I don't like Severino's numbers. Yarbrough has been pitching in a long relief role, but Aaron Boone did just say that he's a candidate to enter the rotation after they just DFA'd Carlos Carrasco. And I actually covered Yarbrough when I worked in Tampa. I know being a starter is a huge goal of his, as it is for most MLB pitchers. But his numbers aren't great either, and it's kind of hard to put a lot of weight into them considering they came in relief. It's just a totally different situation. So what I ended up doing, maybe this is square me. I never ever bet hitters props. It's just not what I'm interested in. But I bet Aaron Judge to hit a home run at plus 205. It just felt like a good price considering the weather, considering the pitching. So, and I knew we'd be doing this live show, so that's going to be something really fun to root for. And we got it yesterday. So all I need is a one swing of the bat to cash it. Do you have anything on Orioles Angels? This one kind of tripped me up, so I'm interested to hear your thoughts. They just started, so we still have some time here. But LA plus 125 money line dog, Baltimore minus 143 favorite.
I'm curious why I tripped you up, because the first thing I think of with this is just it's such a tricky handicap. There's a lot of moving parts because the Orioles are terrible against lefties, but Anderson's not a typical lefty, kind of a soft tossing guy. He's not going to knock the bat out of your hand. Eflin does come back for the Orioles, he's really good. He was good since they got him in July last year, I believe, from Tampa at the trade deadline. He was good, through the playoffs. He was just a really good addition. He's just been hurt like the rest of these Orioles pitchers, so they desperately need pitching. They really need him back and to be, the pitcher he was. It's hard to pull the trigger on Baltimore with their struggles against lefties, even though Anderson doesn't fit the profile of a guy that's going to give you problems lefty on lefty. It would still be a lean to the Orioles, but I don't like backing guys their first start off of an injury. So
right.
A lot of words to say. I don't really have a play on this one. Do you?
So I feel all the same ways you do, but I was going the other way. I was debating, do I want to play the Angels full game plus 125 or the first 5 plus 115, not because I want to back Tyler Anderson. Do not like him. He's part of a dying breed of pitchers who throw an 88-mile-an-hour fastball as his primary pitch. His secondary pitch is the changeup. He throws it 35% of the time, and you're not going to have a successful changeup if you don't have a good fastball. And probably one of the bigger problems with him is he has never updated his arsenal. I feel like with at least, not with the guys who have sustained success, but in some of the mid to bottom rotation guys, I feel like they are updating their arsenal every few years, maybe, like just subtle tweaks, but he doesn't throw any breaking balls. And I just don't know how you can have any success when you're throwing an 88 mile an hour and then just a changeup and maybe a different type of fastball off of that. But Zach Eflin, I know you talked about him. He's been dealing with shoulder and lat fatigue, hasn't pitched in a month. And his numbers before that weren't great. They hinted at an injury. So that's why I just felt like, these bullpens are actually pretty closely rated. Neither of the offenses are good. Baltimore is the worst offense against lefties. That's why I thought these teams that should be a lot closer than the odds. Like, it's not a great outlook for either of them, which is why I just kind of gravitated toward the underdog here. What about Blue Jays and Mariners? That's another one. It looks like we got about a minute here before that one starts. Toronto plus 157 as a road dog. Seattle minus 187 at home.
Yeah, Miller is a guy I've liked to back in the past, but he just hasn't been himself this year. I think he'll turn it around because he's got good stuff, and he's historically had really good command. He's walked a lot of guys this year. He hasn't gotten the swing and misses. He's historically, again, been better at home. So maybe this is a spot. Eventually he turns it around, but it is still arena going for Toronto. I don't know what the plan is for him, whether it's try and get 4 or 5. Is it more of an opener? Is it play it by ear? That makes it for an unclear handicap. If I were going to bet anything, the over 7.5 looks pretty good because Miller's still been shaky. Arena's not very good. So it would be a small play on the over 7.5. By the way, before we get your thoughts on that game, we do have the end of the first quarter here, Nuggets Thunder, and we have some history. It is the lowest scoring quarter in NBA postseason history with 25 combined points. How about that?
That's insane. Brickfest, they are a combined 1 of 25 from deep. And
that is incredible.
This is so great. They've both taken 22 shots each. They've made a combined 8 of them. That is fun stuff in the NBA the last couple days. Yeah, for the Blue Jays Mariners, I was thinking about an under 8.5. Definitely did not fire because I don't trust Bryce Miller at this point, and Jose Arena, there's just not enough data there. Like you said, we don't really know who he is or what his role is at this point. I thought because of the pitching weather that maybe it's a little bit more difficult for hitters to see the ball and get it moving once it's in the air, and these pitchers are getting a little bit too much bad credit, but I'm just going to stay off of it. All right, coming up next, we'll get into Dodgers D-backs. It's a fun game in the NL West.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back into Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Grace Remington with Will Hill, joining you for the next 3 hours on this very fine Sunday to break down the NBA, the NHL, golf, MLB, pretty much every sporting event we got going on today. We're here to live bet it with you. So ready to have a fun day, but the first NHL game of the day about to drop puck in 15 minutes. It's the Jets and the Stars. This series tied up at 1 apiece. Dallas opened as a minus 130 favorite. It immediately was bet out to minus 150, but it looks like it's coming back now. The Jets plus 115 on the money line, and this total sits at 5.5. I'm looking at the betting splits over at VSiN.com, which you can access with your VSiN Pro subscription. A lot of the money coming in on the over here, 75%, 90% of the handle, which I find a bit surprising considering the teams have met 6 times and they've never scored more than 5 goals. Looking at the money line, 73% of the tickets are on the Stars, 66% of the handle at Circa. It looks like that number has gone back to minus 131. Just a slight bit more money on the underdog Jets here, 27% of the tickets, 34% of the handle. For your best bets before that game drops puck, which again is in less than 15 minutes, head over to VSiN.com. Our buddy Jonathan Davis posts his hockey plays every single day of the week. And I mean, he's crazy good at this. I'm looking at it now. He has over a dozen plays for you in this game. So head over to VSiN.com, check out his article. Let's get back to the baseball diamond here because breaking news, Will Hill, the Rockies are leading. And they're not just leading anyone, they are leading the Padres.
Comfortably,
what is happening
too,
to the world?
6-1. I don't know. And we did our show yesterday, and we got off, and I was checking the scores and whatever. It was one of those. I saw the Padres scored a few runs earlier. I sent out a sarcastic tweet. I said the Rockies are losing, and of course, they've become a punchline, deservedly so. And then you blink, like maybe 45 minutes, an hour later, somebody texts me, it's 16-0 Rockies. And you just couldn't make the number high enough. It finished 21-0. And I think this line closed around minus 300 with the Padres. But they are now down 6-1. And I saw when it was 3-1, the Padres were basically still a coin flip, which just shows you, the disrespect that the Rockies get, the respect that the Rockies opponents get, however you want to look at it. So I don't know. Is plus 420 enough for you to take a shot on the Padres coming back against the worst team basically any of us have ever seen? Or is that just not enough? Is 5 runs too much? It is the Padres. It is in Coors Field. I don't know that's enough bang for your buck, but I don't want to be sitting here in an hour from now and it's 7-6 and it's basically a coin toss game. We're saying, well, man, we should have jumped at the plus 420. So I couldn't be mad if you told me, hey, I took the plus 420 here at the Padres, thinking they'll come back.
I know. I wouldn't judge anyone. Here's the thing: do the Padres care? I guess divisional games are important when you're in a division with the Dodgers, but I'm pulling up their schedule here because I want to see what they have going on tomorrow. They are home against the Angels. They don't need this game.
Right.
They don't need to win this one. I think they can back it up. But it's interesting because Nick Pivetta is not a bad pitcher. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in 7 starts this season, and he's given up all 6 of those earned runs on 7 hits in just 4 innings. So I guess, every pitcher has one of those oopsie days, but with a 2.01 ERA and a 3.25 expected, a 2.80 FIP, I would not have expected this from him today. So Rockies fans, enjoy it. Enjoy it while you have it. You really don't know when you're ever going to feel this again. I don't know if you saw this, Will, but yesterday after that 21-0 loss, the official Rockies account tweeted out a screenshot of the Bill Belichick interview where Jordan was saying, we're not going to talk about that.
That's funny.
It was so good. What else do we got here today? I know it is.
Diamondbacks, Dodgers. That's the only game in the 4:00 window we didn't get to. You got any thoughts on that one?
Let's do that. Let me find my notes here. So we have Tony Gonsolin and Zach Gallen today. The roof should be closed, I believe. Honestly, Zach Gallen some of his numbers are a little bit worrisome to me. So he's thrown an 8.37 ERA with a 4.12 FIP. That's his highest field independent pitching since 2021. The strikeout rate is still high, but his walk rate is up to 11%, which is alarming for a pitcher whose fastball sits at 93 miles an hour. His barrel rate and hard hit rates are also up. But you look at his numbers from the past 3 seasons, they have been declining. That makes sense if you're getting older. But I'm looking at his game log here, coming off back-to-back starts against the Mets, in which he only gave up a combined 2 earned runs in 13 innings with 14 strikeouts. So maybe he is just now hitting his stride, and we'll see these numbers kind of go back to the Gallen we know. His best start of the season, too, was April 2nd against the Yankees. He threw 6 2/3 shutout innings with 3 hits, no walks, 13 strikeouts. So maybe he's just rising to the level of competition until have a great outing against the Dodgers today. I believe the Dodgers are minus 110. The D-backs are plus 100. I don't know. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe we should live bet the D-back. Dodgers are up now 1-0, top of the first one out. And they're about even on the money line, minus 115 on each side. Did you have any thoughts going into this one?
I played Gonsolin under 4.5 strikeouts. I know he's got good strikeout numbers his first 2 outings. He's been out for a while. I think 2022 was the last time he pitched before this year. Remember, he started the All-Star game that year in LA in his home ballpark, and he's been missing for a while. These guys, if you have surgery at the wrong time, he can somehow, wipe away 2 different years, and he's really been gone for a while. But he had good strikeout numbers his first 2 starts, but it was against the Marlins, and this is a Diamondback team that doesn't strike out as much, and he struggles against lefties historically, and he's historically not been a huge strikeout guy, and he's going to see a ton of lefties here in this Diamondback lineup. So I think the Diamondbacks will have some success. Again, coming off an injury, I don't know that Gonsolin has the longest leash in the world. We saw Dave Roberts pull Sasaki the other night with 60 pitches, so Roberts not afraid to go to that bullpen. So I will play the under 4.5 strikeouts. Still available because the Diamondbacks have not come to bat yet, as the Dodgers do lead 1-0, top of the first. They're up to minus 175 on the money line. Total 10.5. Some of these other scores: Orioles up 1-0. Yankees and A's are scoreless, but the Yankees do have runners on the corners with nobody out. And still 6-1 Rockies Padres. Rockies batting in the bottom of the 5th.
What was the price you found on that Gonsolin under?
DraftKings still has minus 115 if you have DraftKings.
Minus 115?
Yeah.
1.5? Ooh, okay.
Yeah, minus 115. All right.
Yeah, I think I want to join you on that one. He's projected for 4 even today. The D-backs, the strikeout rate against righties is just average, but they're a tough out because they have a high walk rate too, and they rank top 5 in weighted on base average, weighted runs created plus. So yeah, the competition definitely a little steeper than the Marlins were a week ago. So I like that one. Thank you, Will. Hold on, I'm trying to place that live.
Well, don't thank me yet. It didn't win. Let's not thank me for a loser. Let's hope it wins first.
Oh, you're right.
As you're putting that in, OKC up 27-17. Hopefully this doesn't become a trend when you and I do these shows together. We just get blowouts in the NBA because yesterday was a bloodbath. Knicks and the Celtics says OKC misses another 3. Man, this is tough to watch with all of these missed shots. This is about as ugly a game as I can remember. But OKC in good shape, at least early with a 10-point lead. Denver trying to find some form of offense to get back in this game here.
Yeah, just wild shooting numbers. I feel like we've gone just kind of a zigzag series. Steve Makinen, our colleague, actually had some trends that I really liked that I wanted to bring up. Again, I said I like the under. I didn't really expect it to go this much under, but he said over the last 3 seasons when the home team was on 1 day of rest and the road team was playing a 3rd game in 8 days, which happens more likely than you think. I know that sounds very specific. The under went 70%, 65 and 29. Yeah, and it applied last night. Both games went under. So, yeah, I guess this is what we should have expected. All right, we are going to take a quick break here, but I want to remind everyone that wherever you are, whether you're at home, on the road, or on the go, there is more ways than ever to tune into VSiN. Stream us live on VSiN.com, the VSiN Watch app, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio, Fire TV, Roku, or SiriusXM channel 158. That is an absurd number of options to find your favorite handicappers, and they are breaking down every sport possible. You want UFC? We got it. You want racing? We got it. Again, VSiN.com, the VSiN Watch app, and SiriusXM channel 158. Coming up next, our buddy Justin Rowan joins the show. He covers the Cavs, so he's going to be previewing Cavs-Pacers game tipping off later tonight. More NBA betting talk on the way. This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back into Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Grace Remington with Will Hill, live betting all of today's action with you. And now, happy to welcome Justin Rowan into the show on the Progressive guest line. Justin Rowan is host of the Chase Down Pod covering the Cavs. And so he's going to answer all our questions about this Cavs-Pacers game coming up at 8 Eastern time tonight. Justin, thanks so much for joining us today. The Cavs in a precarious position here, down 2-1 in the series. Feels like a must-win in Indiana. What's kind of the vibe in Cleveland right now?
I think they are taking all of these games as must-win. They talked after the Game 3 win as we have to treat every game like a Game 7, right? You have to understand that in the modern NBA, there's so much variance that can happen with three-point shooting and things like that. You can't assume that you have a game to drop. So I think that they are going to approach this game with a Game 7-like intensity, just like they tried to do in Game 3 as well.
Justin, forget about predictions before this series started because I don't think anyone expected the road teams in the East to be 6-0. 6 games in here. Just been a strange round, a strange postseason. That being said, if I gave you a redo, who wins the series, and do you have any feel tonight with the Cavs laying the 5.5?
I feel good about the Cavs. I think that if the guys who played through injury last game, Garland, Mobley, and Hunter, all responded well to that performance, I think that they should be in the driver's seat. I think it's correct that they are favored. You look at the kind of margin for error that the Cavs have had, even with guys out of the lineup. They've had a chance to win every single one of these games, and they haven't shot 30% from three in any of these games. They are due for positive shooting regression. The shot quality has been very strong. The results just haven't been there. So I think if Garland, Mobley, and Hunter are healthy enough that they're able to contribute something, I feel good about their chances in game four. And I feel like whoever wins game four is going to win the series. I think that this is going to go, 6 or 7 games, depending on if Indy can kind of punch back. But if they can get this game, I feel good about their chances in this series.
Speaking of Mobley, his points prop set at 17.5. Do you feel any which way about that one? And why do you think he needs to be the driving force in this game?
I think Mobley needs to be the driving force because Donovan Mitchell is going to do what Donovan Mitchell is going to do. We've seen him be that playoff riser for the Cavs time and time again. And what we've seen in this series is he just needs someone else to contribute. With Garland, playing through basically what's been described as turf toe, I don't expect him to be the same level of contributor that he's been throughout the regular season. But if he can give them 20, 25 minutes of his strong playmaking and help make things easier for Mitchell and Mobley, I think that is enough. But it still means that someone needs to step up and be that number two guy. And I think Evan Mobley, both as a scorer and as a defensive player, limiting the impact of Pascal Siakam is one of the most important variables. I expect him to be heavily involved attacking downhill against this Pacers defense that's given up a lot of pain points so far this series.
Justin, play doctor for us. So you mentioned Garland. That's an injury that, some susceptibility in terms of re-injuring it. He was hobbling at the end. The other guys who missed game 2, are they back? Do you expect them to bounce back physically tonight? Where are you at with the health of these Cavs?
I think for Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter, I expect things to be a little bit better for them. DeAndre Hunter didn't have a wrap on his hand in game 3. I think you saw there was times where it was difficult for him to grip the ball, but I expect that to heal up with time. Evan Mobley went from a walking boot after game 1 to moving pretty well in game 3. He's just historically been a very quick healer, so I expect him to continue to look good physically. Darius is the big question mark. This sounds like something that's probably not going to be getting better throughout the playoffs, but what can get better is his ability to get comfortable with what he can and can't do playing through this injury. I believe Chris Fedor on the beat mentioned that he's playing with a carbon fiber insert to protect the toe, so I think that limits the amount of re-injury that he can do there. But I think from a conditioning standpoint and also just a familiarity standpoint with the injury, as long as things didn't swell up, I expect him to manage that injury a little bit better as the series progresses.
Let's talk about a player on the other side, Tyrese Halliburton. His 3-pointers prop set at 2.5. His overall points prop set at 17.5. How did the Cavs slow him down?
I think they got to continue doing what they did in game 3, which was a lot of ball pressure from Max Strus, fighting through screens. They were very switch heavy in game 1, and now they're fighting through those screens a little bit more as the series has progressed, really denying him the ball, making him feel uncomfortable, forcing him to go left. He's been playing with a wrap on his left wrist, so I think that might be a little bit of a factor there. But I think Tyrese Halliburton is the engine. He's the key for Indy's offense. If they can do a good job of slowing him down and denying him the ball, I think that they're going to have success in this matchup. But the flip side of that is Indy probably recognizes that Halliburton needs to get going in order for their overall offense to compete with the Cavs. So I expect them to do a variety of things to try to loosen him up, try to get him free and get him opportunities. I expect to see a very aggressive version of Tyrese Halliburton after a lackluster game 3.
The winner of this series will be playing who in a week or so? Are you of the belief that the Celtics got back on track and now they're in good shape, or not necessarily?
I think it's going to be Boston. You look at those first 2 games, I think it leads into what I was talking about earlier with shooting variance. They were not hitting their shots from outside. I think that the Knicks have put up a very good fight in this series, but you also have to factor in they've been down in 20 every single one of these games. I think there is a reason for that. As much as I would like to see New York come out on top of that series, this is a team that was probably a call or 2 away from losing to Detroit in the first round. I expect Boston to continue to show that championship mentality and get control of this series. I don't know if the Knicks get another game in the series, if I'm honest.
So I know you think the Celtics are going to win, but which team do you think the Cavs want to see? Do they want to play Boston or New York?
I think they probably would like to see New York from a matchup standpoint. They swept the season series against them. You have the history of that first round matchup 2 years ago. But the reality is this is a different Knicks team than it's been in the past. And I think that this Cavs team is one that's playing with a chip on its shoulder, and they want to prove themselves. I think they want to be tested by the best, and the best is the Boston Celtics. They were the ones that eliminated them last year in the playoffs, 2-2 in the season series. I think that from a competitive standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised to see them want to play Boston, just because this is a team that has faced a lot of outside noise. There's been a lot of doubters there. I don't think they want to have, whether it's injuries or just random upsets that give them an easier path. I think that this is a team that wants to be tested against the best because they believe they are amongst the best and they are championship contenders. So from a fan standpoint, I would love to see New York, because I think it would be better for Cleveland, particularly if they're not fully healthy. But I think in that locker room, they want to be challenged. They want to go up against the Boston Celtics.
Justin, the Warriors were up by 6 or 7 points late in that game last night, pretty late, middle of the fourth quarter. It looked like all of the lower seeds were going to be up 2-1, which I'm not sure has ever happened. That being said, what do you make of all these upsets? Is it just random, the variance, the shooting, or is this league a little more balanced than it's been in the past?
I think what you're seeing is the increase in parity, right? There's been some really good articles lately about how, it used to be whoever the best player in a series, whoever has the best player really was at a strong advantage. Right now, I think you're seeing the top end talent and the overall depth of all these teams is stronger than it's ever been. And it really becomes about, can you protect your weakest link? Do you have a weak link that is getting heavy minutes within your rotation that the other team can exploit? And I just think that we are seeing an era of the NBA where you're dealing with evenly matched teams. It's going to come down to matchups. Are teams able to come up with the problem solving necessary to cover up whatever their roster deficiencies are? I think with the limitations of team building, the overall depth of this league, we're just seeing a more NFL-like version of the NBA where parity is going to win out, and it's going to come down to who is executing at the highest level rather than who has the best player. Oh, well, that team's going to be the one that gets the win.
Great stuff from Justin Rowan, host of the Chase Down pod, where he covers the Cleveland Cavaliers. Justin, can you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at CavsCanada. Just slap the Cavs in Canada and you'll find me there. You can find the Chase Down podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we also go live on the Cavs YouTube channel. After every single playoff game, we'll be going live with Game 4 reactions tonight. So you can either find us on playback on wherever you get your podcasts or find us live on the Cavs YouTube channel.
That's awesome. Can't wait to listen. Thank you so much for your insights today, and enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Justin.
All right. Yep, that was Justin Rowan joining us on the Progressive guest line. Right now at Circa Sportsbook, the Cavs a 5-point favorite, but it looks like a lot of the money still on the dog in this one. The Cavs holding 72% of the tickets, but only 42% of the handle. The Pacers holding just 28% of the bets, but 58% of the handle. And for the highest total of these game fours, 231, most of the money here is on the under. 67% of the tickets, 79% of the handle. When we come back, we're going to go back to the baseball diamond, take a look at the games in action. Maybe we'll take a look at the Sunday night baseball game and continue some NBA talk. This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Are you ready to unlock your creativity and transform your passion for beauty into a career? Southeastern College is here to help you take your first steps towards training for a career in cosmetology. Unlock your potential and start your path towards a career making people feel confident. It's time to invest in yourself. Visit sec.edu for more information on our programs and take the first step toward training for a brand new career in cosmetology. Your before and after story starts now at Southeastern College.
This This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back into Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Grace Remington with Will Hill. Let's get some live score updates in here. We have reached halftime of Game 4 between OKC and Denver. The Thunder leading 42-36, so they end up covering the first half spread. But still, one of the lower scoring games we've seen. It's pacing for a total of 192. After it opened at 222, was bet all the way up to 228. You called it a brick fest earlier, Will. Kind of still looking that way.
Brickfest, I want to take that back. It's being unkind to Brickfest to call it as a Brickfest. At one point, both teams were shooting 1 of 18 from 3. I'd never seen shooting this bad. This is, look, it's the Nuggets and the Thunder. It's not like we're talking about the Hornets and the Magic. I'm trying to think of two bad teams, or Magic, at least a bad shooting team.
Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, it's look, just it happens. We did see a few makes at the end. Caruso hit a 3. Jokic hit an incredible 3 just about at the buzzer of the first half. Little up and under, off balance. And he has not played great. He has not shot great in this series. I know he had the monster Game 1, but all things considered, I guess you could look at it one of two ways. If you're OKC, you probably think, man, we should probably be up more if we could just make a shot. And if you're Denver, you're thinking we should probably be, tied or within striking distance more than we are. So I guess all things considered, both teams, could be better, could be worse. I don't really. Boy, it's just been such a strange first half. I feel like OKC's in control. It's going to be hard for them to come back, but we'll see what happens in terms of the shooting, like we talked about yesterday. If you can tell me who's going to make the threes and who's not, the handicap's a lot easier. It's just not that simple sometimes. You see these great shooting teams have awful nights and vice versa. So a very strange, very low-scoring first half, an ugly first half. But OKC does cover the 5 in the first half, and obviously the game stays well under the total here for the first half.
Mm-hmm. Does it matter who's shooting the 3-point better if neither of them are shooting it well at all? They've made a combined 6 3-pointers on 44 attempts. I can't believe that's real. It's crazy to think that the first 2 or the previous 2 games in the series, the total closed at, I got all 3 in front of me, 230, 231, and 232. And now we're pacing for below 200 points. It's just nuts. But speaking of higher totals, the Cavs and Pacers sitting at a total of 231 right now. Cleveland, a 5.5-point favorite. We just talked to Justin Rowan, who does a great job covering the Cavs. What did you think about some of the points he made, Will?
Yeah, I think one thing that gets, maybe ignored or just under discussed, just because these guys were hurt, then they come back. Now we all of a sudden assume automatically they're just completely fine. The Hunter and Mobley and Garland, just because you're playing doesn't mean you're going to be completely effective. I know they were dominant Friday night in Game 3, and chances are if they're good enough to play, that's all you can really judge. But especially Garland, he was really hobbling at the end of Game 3. It sounds like, turf toe from everyone that's had it, said it's a nasty injury. It's very easy to re-aggravate it. So remember, Mitchell was limping around in Game 2. So just because these guys came back and were able to play in Game 3 and they won convincingly, I wouldn't just automatically put these injury concerns behind them. The market, not just in this series, but Boston, New York, the game today with OKC, Denver, the market loves these teams that are desperate, especially the better team. We saw Boston get bet up and they cover. We saw the Cavs get bet up Friday night. OKC got bet up all the way to 7 in some spots today. So the bettors, the market likes when these teams, especially the better team, has their back up against the wall. They feel like they're going to get their better performance. And when you can get the more talented team and they're focused and they're motivated and all of those things, that's something that aligns where, all right, not only will I have the better team, but they're going to be focused. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be max motivated. So I get that. I just can't quite get to laying 5.5 on the road. But look, home court has been a disadvantage, at least in the East. Road team 6-0 so far, so it hasn't mattered here where the games have been played, and really throughout the playoffs, home court has not been as impactful as in past years. So it would be a lean towards the 5.5. I have not played it. Do you have any feel here in terms of side, total, player prop, anything?
Well, first, I like your point about the injured players. Just because they're back does not mean they're full speed. I was reading some quotes from Michael Porter Jr. after game 3. I don't know if you saw this, but he revealed to reporters that he had a shot of lidocaine as a numbing agent in his injured shoulder, and you're supposed to spread out those injections, but the game 3 was so important to him. He kind of got ahead of schedule in his shots. So he's not allowed to get another one for a few days, and he's avoiding taking steroids that are legal per the NBA. But dude, shoulder injuries hurt, and I just can't imagine once that numbing wears off. Oh, that's the recovery. And when you're trying to go to bed at night, that has got to be painful. So that's a good point by you. A lot of these guys, just because they're playing does not mean they're full speed. That kind of went into my favorite play for the game, which is the under 231. There's a couple of Steve Makinen trends that apply here. One of them is he's found some key numbers, and you can find his trends article. He updates it every few days over at vsin.com. The number 220 has been key on totals over the last 6 years in the second round of the playoffs. On totals of 220.5 or higher, the under has gone 64%. And when it's 227.5 or higher, there's only been 18 times of that, but it's gone 15-3. So clearly the second round is when it gets a little bit more competitive. These teams are becoming a bit more familiar with each other. Teams could be playing a bit more conservatively when these games mean more. There's more defensive stops, but I think you look at the shooting in this series as well. Cleveland's been struggling from 3, shooting under 30% in each game. And the Pacers' three-point shooting has declined in each game as well, going from 53% to 39% to 30% from game 1 to 2 to 3. So I like the under in this one. We've had a lot of unders so far, and I feel like we're going to continue that trend. Let's take a look at some of the baseball scores now. It looks like we're going to extras between the Giants and the Twins. They're in the top of the 10th right now, tied up at 2 apiece. The Twins are minus 152 live favorite at home. The Giants plus 122. The Rockies still leading in the bottom of the 7th here, 6-1. Woo! Is that going to be their 8th win? I think is that their 8th or 7th win?
I thought 7. I think 7.
You're right. They're 6-36, the worst 39 game start to a season in National League history. Last year's Chicago White Sox was the losingest team in MLB history, and even they were 11-28 at this point last year.
Wow. They're worse than the White Sox. They really are. They can't hit, they can't pitch, and they play in a ballpark where it exacerbates how bad you are. It magnifies because there's so many runs scored, so the opponent's going to come in and score a bunch of runs. So if you're really bad, you want it like in a pitcher-friendly environment where all the games are close and low scoring, you can steal one. Mm-hmm. It's hard with these high totals, and when you can't hit, you can't pitch, and you're playing in a hitter-friendly ballpark, that is a recipe for disaster. I really don't think they're going to win 40 games. I know, the best team usually wins 50, and 41 was, I think, the record last year with the White Sox. To me, I've been saying like 38, 39 wins. That might be overselling it. They are so bad. It's incredible just what a mess they are.
Great point about the ballpark exacerbating it. They are the second worst team in runs scored, so second worst offense. They have the worst pitching staff by ERA. They have the worst run differential at minus 134 and the worst vibes. But how bad is that run differential? They're on pace for a minus 557 run differential. Okay, I have this list pulled up in front of me. The worst run differentials in MLB history. Right now, the leader on the list is a team from 1932. The Boston Red Sox, whose run differential, minus 345. This team is on pace to beat that by over 200 negative runs. It really is that bad. I don't know if you saw this. Kyle Freeland, who is a 9 years Rockies vet, grew up in Denver, was once voted top 4 in Cy Young. It is so bad that guy, when reporters asked him at the podium about the plight of this team, he started tearing up and he had to leave the podium. That's how bad it is. No crying in baseball, and yet this team they're losing cliches too.
It's tough. It's tough, and the manager's been there for a while too, and they just keep running him out there. Not that it's his fault, but I mean, it's just when you're that bad, it's almost like there's nowhere to start. I mean, where do you go in terms of trying to improve? I know we're getting a break here. Would you play over 193.5 Denver OKC with the thought that they can't shoot worse in the second half? They're bound to start making some threes.
Ooh, middle it? Yeah, I think I would. Good call.
You know.
Quick reminder to everyone, whether you want to fade the Rockies, bet the live over in this NBA game or anything else, you can get pros best bets every day of the week with your VSiN Pro subscription. Head over to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code PRO. You will get 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. That's VSIN.com/subscribe.